But my childhood, I thought was a real good childhood. But my childhood, I thought was a real good childhood. I thought I had a real good childhood. I went to church 3 or 4 times a week. Knew everybody in town, and that little town that we were in, there wasn't no race discrimination. I mean, money discrimination, or people didn't think they were better than others. Everybody was. Everybody looked after everybody. There was, it was just one big happy family. The church had ice cream socials in the summer for the kids, and we went to they call it Afterwards League at night on Sundays, Sunday night for the teenagers, and there would be, a meeting there every Sunday evening for the young people, for the teenagers, and then we had Sunday school and church in the morning, and then we had church at night. After the league, before the league. No, after the league. We went to the league earlier, and then they had church. And we had Christmas parties. It was just a real good little town. Everybody looked after everybody. Everybody. Even my sister-in-law's grandmother, chauffeur, if the grandmother couldn't pick me up for church, because the church was combined with Winnie. It was called a Winnie store, and it was about at least 3.5 miles away from where we lived. And so the mother-in-law always picked me up and Betty up for church. Lois wasn't. I don't think Lois was going to church then. But anyway, we'd go to church and she'd take us home, and if we didn't go home, or her grandmother's chauffeur, there's the only black man in store. It was the only black man in Winnie's store. And he would, on Sunday, here he'd come in this big old car and pick me up, take me to church, and pick me up when church was over. It was strange. See, everybody tended to everybody. I got paid for sweeping the church and dusting it. I had got my friend to.
How much did you get paid?
$5 a month. But it wasn't. The church wasn't that big.
Was that big money then?
Yeah, $5 was like $1 a week usually. All I had to do was sweep the floors, dust the piano, dust the altar, straighten up the songbooks, see that the literature was right, for what was going on for that Sunday. Straighten it up. That was all I had to do. And I'd get my girlfriend Sarah. She just died last year. I'd get my girlfriend Sarah, and she'd come with me. Sometimes she'd help me with my housework, homework, when I couldn't understand something. But everybody was a family type. Not the Winnie people, but the store people were all. Everybody was for each other. Everybody was doing something for everybody.
Like what?
Well, if you had to go to town, they'd take you to town. If you were sick, they'd take you to the doctor. And my mother and father would walk to my grandfather's house, which was about a mile away. Every night of the week. Every night of the week, my mother and father would go walk. Sometimes I walked with them, but usually I stayed home. Usually by myself, because all four or five of my sisters and brothers married in 1 year. The year in 1945, the year after the war was over. My two brothers, Ruth, Bammer. I don't know if Lois was already married. And Lois, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. So there was 5 that got married in that year. 5 sisters and brothers that got married. So it left me, Betty and I. And Betty worked at the grocery store. And I did all the errands. I'd run to the post office, and I'd run to the store. And my mother would be absent-minded. She forgot her cigarettes. She smoked. Her and Daddy both smoked. I'd have to go get cigarettes. The mail came twice a day. And the mail came from Beaumont in the morning and from Galveston in the afternoon. And I'd have to go to the store twice a day to see get the mail. And I'd have to go to the grocery store about 3 times a day, because my mother would leave. She'd either need flour or ground meat or rice or something to cook, you know.
Your brothers were in the World War II?
Yeah, both of them. My oldest one was at Pearl Harbor. He was in the Nessus Crow when they bombed his friend, Charles Sanders, died in that boat next to where my brother was in. Was on one boat and Charles was in the next boat. And they got bummed out of the water. And Ellison's boat moved out quick out of the place where the bombing was. But he had 2 destroyers sunk out from under him and survived. He survived to hear about it, but it kind of got to him, because when he got home he started drinking. But my mother never let any beer, didn't let any beer at all in the house. Nothing. No kind of drinks was in the house. Her brother drank a lot. He couldn't come to our house. And my other uncle's brother drank too, but when he got married, his wife said, "Bull corn on that. You're not drinking," and he did not drink. My Uncle Andrew never drank a drop after he got married. I loved Aunt Olivia. So I remember when me and Jim got married, she gave me a big old shower. I mean, even Eileen's mother, who's really wealthy, she came to it and gave me a set of pots or something. I got a set of pots, 2 sets of glasses. Oh, I had a great big shower that they gave to me. But my Uncle Andrew worked in the shipyards in Orange, Texas, building ships with them during the war. And he came home and built a grocery store, but he didn't like, because they lived kind of about a mile and a half out of town, and people didn't go a mile and a half going towards the ocean to Highland, so the store didn't last. You know, it didn't last over a year. Because that also, I half the people were kin to him down there. And, you know, no, I guess Uncle Andrew and them didn't want to charge him any more than they paid for it. But he built houses. He built Uncle Emmett's first house across the street from where they lived when they died. Before they lived in that house until the kids were about 2 or 3 years old. Then they built them a great, big, beautiful home across the street. They had, the girls had 2 commodes, in this bathroom they have 2 commodes, 2 sinks, mirrors, closets. It was really a big thing. And across the way, my brother and them had a walk-in closet that was as long as this house. Her closet and his closet, and they had a fancy thing. Then they had a great big dining room. Then they had a foyer, or what you want to call it. And then a little old a dining room set off the foyer. Oh, it's a real nice house. Really, really. You probably saw it, didn't you? You don't remember? You might not have. It was a big, beautiful house. He raised pheasants. They say the reason why he died was because him and my daddy rice farmed. And they were always, airplanes would come over and put toxins on the rice farms, you know, to kill the things. Where my brother would just stay out in the field while they were doing all this toxins and stuff. And my daddy, he would get in the truck and put a scarf over his nose and close the windows, and it did something to my brother's lungs, and he couldn't breathe, and he had to breathe on oxygen about 6 years before he died. He was only 63 when he died, but it was because he'd go out there and guess he just didn't think. But you know, and when I think him and Ellison had a buck station. You know, they sold gasoline to gasoline places. They made pretty good money there too. Except my brother Ellison said that he'd look on my brother's desk, Emmett's desk, and he'd have 10, 15 checks that he hadn't even cashed. Might be 2 or 3 months old. That would be on his desk that he wouldn't even cash. Didn't even give back. And then his wife talked him into giving up it, and Ellison got mad at him because he was making big money. But what Ellison didn't know, he got a pension from that. It was from Chevron or someplace like that. Later on in life, he found out he got like a $90 a month a pension from that buck stations, wherever they got the gasoline from. Either Chevron or Texaco or something. And Ellison got a pension from that. Because when Ellison died, I think he had like $60,000 or $70,000 that he had saved. But the only person that stayed in town of the kids was Betty. Lois and them went to Houston. Grandma and them went to Beaumont, and then they built a house at the lake.